So good of you, David, to take some time out of your day. The Arizona Memorial is very special to you. Please help us understand what your role is and what are some of the stories we need to be remembering?
So I am the Chief of Interpretation, basically in charge of visitor operations, welcoming, greeting the guests, helping them to know how they can explore, also providing programs for them, telling the stories, engaging with the community, education programs, volunteer efforts, and really helping to expand how we can make sure we are telling the story as effectively as possible and including as much as possible in that story.
As I understand what you're saying, it's not just the story of the Arizona, it's the story of the area, it's the story of the history of this place.
Right, yes. As we talk about the history of the military service and the attacks that happened, we also have to take into context how that military introduction into this area was impacting the people and what happened with the history of the United States in connection with treaties that had been made, agreements that had been made, and then eventually how we welcomed war basically to the doorstep in our in our engagement and where we were here, as we kind of forced Japan into a corner with some of the things that were going on as the war was happening, and understanding those stories. And then eventually when the attack did happen, how the local community even was involved and came in to help with the salvage operations to get the Navy back up on its feet and bring those battleships and the other ships back up into operating status. And then eventually even some of the natives with the Japanese internment camps that were throughout the country, but even here, all those impacts are part of the story of Pearl Harbor. And some may say that is that taking away from the legacy of the lives that are lost? And I think the answer would be no. It's expanding upon the importance of their story and how we need to learn from the lessons that happened here to maybe not do them again or make better choices as we go forward.
I appreciate the fact that you refer to this area as a story and the impact not only on the military and on the United States, but also on the citizens. How do you convey that to visitors?
I've only been here for 3 months, but one of the things that I've really wanted to try to inspire my staff that are here and the new staff that I'm bringing in is that we have to bring in all aspects of the history. We can't just select that moment in time and without covering the other aspects. And for example, if we were going to talk about a memorial, what about the life of the memorial and how that goes back to the locals' importance of this area with Pu'aloa and how it was a gathering place and the importance for them to find all these valuable resources that would provide for them to survive and thrive and for the generations to come. And then we have the military presence that would come in, and then that is another aspect of the life that eventually brings in this war, causing us now to have the remembrance and the memorial of what happened in that war and how it impacted not just the United States and those here, but for generations to come. And we have to remember all aspects as we memorialize, as we remember.
And that's actually quite a significant statement looking at history at this time and where not only America is, but where the world is.
Yeah, my last site that I worked at before here had very difficult aspects of the story in Little Rock, Arkansas, telling the story of desegregation of education and the Little Rock Nine and those brave 9 teenagers that were basically put on the front lines of trying to make change in a country and society and places where that change wasn't wanted to be made. And we're still trying to face the impacts of overcoming some of the things that need to be changed still today. And so same today with my staff here at Pearl Harbor, we're telling a difficult story of the trauma and terrors of war and the loss of life and the impacts that would come from that. If we minimize what tied into that story, we minimize the memory and the remembrance of those that lost and the lessons that were learned.
Some parting words for the audience in terms of stories, memorials, peace.
Yes, as we prepare for the 80th anniversary, and we talk with some of the survivors for maybe the last time. One of the things that we would do to honor theirs is they suffered the war. They suffered through the decisions that had to be made, hoping for peace and seeking to try to make the steps to do better, to be better, to see others not as our enemy, not as someone that wants something different, so we need to push them aside, but somebody that also has needs that we need to try to respect and embrace. And I think that's something we can strive to honor going forward.
And there are many little wars going on
There are.
internally and interpersonally. So thank you so much for your time and for reminding us that we have personal leadership in creating peace as well.
Right.
Thank you, David.
Thank you.
We've just spoken with David Kilton, Chief of Interpretation with the Arizona Memorial.